Hello, or I guess I should say, hey everyone. Welcome back to the Road to Doomsday, the MCU Rewatch podcast brought to you by the Nerd Academy podcast. Except no substitute. I am your host, Jared Bachman Subs, and joining me, as always, is the lovely Miss Taylor.
Hello.
And we are here for an episode that I have been so unbelievably excited for. This movie means so much to me. This character means so much to me. As everybody knows, I am a diehard Spider fan, and it's weird. It's like we've gotten through so much of the MCU, and we have so much to go. Like what you guys don't hear at home is when Taylor and I talk about like, okay, so we're gonna do this week, and next week I'm gonna reach out to such and such, and da 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 and then every time we have a conversation with anything remotely to do with production for Road to Doomsday, we stop and go, holy shit, we have gotten through so much, but oh my god, do we have so much to get through still. And that mentality has like kept me in this place where in my mind I'm like, oh, we're nowhere near talking about Spider-Man. Even when we did Civil War, I was like, we're nowhere near Spider-Man yet,
Here
right?
we are.
And here we are with Spider-Man Homecoming. I am so incredibly excited to talk about this movie and everything about it. But before we jump in, a brief word from our sponsors over at Sunday's Bloody Mary. You guys know the drill. Sunday's Bloody Mary has the most badass Bloody Mary accoutrement in the multiverse with their 3-time award-winning spicy mix, as well as their mild and traditional mixes if the spice isn't for you. This former bartender trusts only one Bloody Mary mix, and that is Sunday's, the only mix better than a from-scratch Bloody. If you want to shake up your Bloody Mary game for the rest of your days, use the link in the description down below and use the code TNAP, TNAP, to get 10% off your order and help out your favorite nerds while you do it. Taylor,
Jared.
are you ready for some Spider-Man Homecoming trivia?
I guess so.
I only have three. I only have three questions. Nothing too crazy. And this first one is a little bit of a stinker, so you got to think about it. Name every Spider-Man villain featured in Homecoming.
Okay, so there's the Prowler, there's Scorpion, there's the Shocker, 1 and 2. We have the Tinkerer. So that's 4, right? Or did I
Uh-huh.
already hit 5? Um, we have Flash Thompson, who becomes Venom. We have Ned, who becomes Hobgoblin. We have
There's a big one you haven't said yet.
oh well, obviously the Vulture.
I will say, so I did not have this you actually me well by including Hobgoblin, and I will actually you back and say that Flash Thompson is not a villain when he gets the Venom symbiote, because Agent Venom is a hero. Um but you get the bonus point for actually me on Ned Leeds Hobgoblin. And aside from the two that you added, you actually read my list backwards,
Ooh.
because I had Vulture, Tinkerer, Shocker, Scorpion, Prowler, and you went Prowler, Scorpion, Shocker, Tinkerer, Vulture. You built up to our boy Adrian. What non MCU Marvel alum voices Karen, aka Suit Lady? So this actor was in a non MCU Marvel movie.
Because I'm like, okay, it's not Jessica Alba, it's not like Famika Jensen, it's not Halle Berry.
I will give you a hint. It is not a Fox Marvel movie, so no X-Men, no Fantastic Four.
Okay. So what does that leave? Blade? Um,
It's a non MCU Marvel movie we talked a lot about early on this show.
is it from the Hulk?
It is an actor in Hulk. It is an actor in Ang Lee's Hulk.
Oh, I don't know, but yeah,
That would be that movie's Betty Ross, Jennifer
yeah.
Connelly,
Ah, okay.
who was cast because of her connections to John Hughes because she was in Career Opportunities. More about John Hughes in a moment. And then our last question: what scientific legends in the MCU are featured throughout Midtown High? So there are two that are on the mural in the hallway, and then there's
Oh,
one who has a photo in one of Peter's classrooms.
one's got to be Howard Stark.
Howard Stark, yes.
Um,
I will give you a mulligan, or not a mulligan, but
Hank
I will
Pym.
no Pym, which
Oh,
is a travesty. I will say Tony isn't there either, just to eliminate that for you, so you don't waste the guess on Tony. I will say up front, Tony Stark is not on the murals or anything. So you have Howard Stark. You got two more. You're in the right oeuvre with going Howard Stark, Hank Pym, like another scientist who would have known Howard.
I don't know. The Stanley Tucci.
Abraham Erskine is the other one who is on the mural. So you have the two mural characters.
Okay.
All you're missing is the one who has a photo in Peter's, I think it's his chemistry class.
It wouldn't be Bruce.
It is Bruce Banner.
Wow.
Look at you. Look at you. You went. I would give you 2.5 points because you landed on Hulk. You landed on Hulk. I'll give you that because like it's 2003. There's only going to be one lady in the movie, so like obviously
Yeah,
it's going to be
yeah.
Betty Ross. So I give you half a point for that, and you landed the play with the scientists and the fearsome five, not quite a sinister six. Um, but for a little bit of background, after lengthy behind the scenes negotiations between Disney and Sony, Spider Man was finally introduced into the MCU in Captain America Civil War and was confirmed to be getting a solo movie set in the MCU. Casting the next webhead was an undertaking, with the final two coming down to Asa Butterfield and Tom Holland.
Mm.
I also read while I was doing my research, Asa Butterfield went so far as to have screen tested with RDJ and Chris Evans.
Wow. So they were there probably that same day. Because we've all seen the behind the scenes screen test for Tom Holland there.
Yeah, I mean, because we saw him in like the more practical version when they were
Mhm.
shooting the airplane or the airport fight, which I love the Homecoming slash Civil War suit a lot. I just don't like how much they CGI'd over the suit in Civil War. Like it's nowhere near as bad as Homecoming. It's nowhere near as bad in Homecoming. But like Peter's suit, especially because originally it looks very similar to what it is in the movie. The main difference is the symbol. The symbol in Civil War, like the suit Tom Holland wore on set, looked the way the suit looks in the early 60s comics,
Okay.
where like the thorax is kind of narrow on the spider and the legs almost fan out.
Gotcha.
And then they went with this more modernized kind of like angular iPhone looking spider.
Yeah.
um the initial deal that Marvel Studios and Sony Pictures struck was that while Marvel would maintain 100% of merchandising rights to these movies, which I'm sure gave Avi Arad a fucking heart attack, that Sony Pictures would not see any money from the toys that had anything to do with Spider-Man. Um,
Not his precious toys.
Marvel Studios only got 5% of first dollar box office gross, meaning Marvel Studios only made 5% of opening night. It's either opening night or opening weekend ticket sales.
Wow.
which is why foreshadowing is a narrative device. Whenever we get to Far From Home, whenever Marvel and Sony wanted to renegotiate terms, Marvel basically was saying 50-50. We're splitting this bitch down the middle.
Yeah, they were like, be so for real right now.
Because, as we'll talk about, this movie made hella money, and Far From Home is a $1 billion movie. So that was the initial agreement. Sony was still being a little greedy, and they had the upper hand. The MCU is about to reach its pinnacle in terms of its place in pop culture, in popular opinion. It's about to reach the zenith, and Sony has the card to their most iconic character, and has the ability to say, "No, fuck you, pay me. If you want Spider-Man, we
Come
get the
get them.
money." Part of the agreement was also that any Spider-Man solo movie required there to be another established MCU character in it, so that Sony would be able to very much market it as part of the MCU, because
Mm,
Iron Man is there, because Happy Hogan is there, because
like
Nick
everybody's
Fury is there.
favorite other movie that's definitely a part of the MCU, Madam
Yeah,
Web.
Madam Web, crucial movie, even though Peter is born way too early in that movie. But hey, who knows? Maybe it's not Peter, because they never say that kid's name.
Somebody
John
say they
Watts,
can't.
maybe. John Watts set out to give his first Spider flick a unique feel by harkening back to the John Hughes style teen comedy coming of age movies of the 80s, such as Ferris Bueller's Day Off, which has several homages paid to it.
Of course.
Obviously, we have Peter running through the yards. The post credit scene where it's the little videos of the Captain America like school special videos very much feels like the post credit scene in Ferris Bueller, where it's Ferris in his bathrobe going, "What are you doing
We're
here?
doing
The
here.
movie's over. Go home." There's kind of a send up of that, with Cat being like, one of the most important virtues is patience. Sometimes it feels like you waited all this time for nothing, but sometimes it's worth it. Um, so John Watts went so far as to have his cast basically do a movie marathon of John Hughes movies, including your Ferris Bueller's,
That's
Breakfast
cute.
Club. Yeah, to make sure like the kid, like, to make sure everybody going in understood the tone he wanted, and I really like that a lot. Hughes also went on to say that he wanted to avoid the big sweeping shots of Spider-Man swinging,
Yeah.
because he wanted this to feel really grounded and personal. And down to the visual language, which again, I said many times in the audio commentary, we'll talk about it here, I'm sure, is how I I think the Amazing Spider-Man duology is a really weird moment in Spider-Man history, because it is it spent a lot of time being shit on, and now it's
Which
kind of
I don't
like,
understand because my favorite villain like is
yes,
so right and doing the right thing.
but we spend so much, so like they spend so much time being shit on, and then by the time that like people are starting to sour on the MCU for a litany of reasons, some of which are not very valid and a lot of like self-fulfilling prophecy, but they like the TASM duology kind of got this weird like second life where people were reevaluating TASM 1 and TASM 2. And I think it's arrived at this weird place where I think people either hate those movies with a bizarre burning
Mhm.
passion, or they like unjustifiably glaze them, and there's no in between for the most part. They have a soft spot in my heart. We'll talk about it when we talk about TASM in the lead up to No Way Home. I spend so much time defending TASM 2 that like I can't hate too much. But all of that to say, TASM and the Raimi trilogy had this weird disconnect between them, because they shared so many elements and ideas that didn't feel super evolved upon and iterated upon for a next version of this story, while still trying really hard to move in a different direction. Like you can tell that The Amazing Spider-Man is a Spider-Man movie that came out after The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So Watts sits down and goes, "Okay, I want this to be a John Hughes teen comedy. I don't want Spider-Man to feel epic. I don't want there to be a huge like cinematic feeling moment where Peter is like swooping through the streets of Manhattan and there's helicopters behind him and he's perched on the American flag and off the Empire State Building. Like he was like, let me kind of bring Peter down to where he feels." And I think that there's a really interesting metatextual thing happening there. We'll get into that. I'm taking us off track. I'm starting to read way too deeply, way too early. Anyway, uh, John Hughes. Michael Keaton nearly missed out on the role of Adrian Toomes / the Vulture due to scheduling conflicts and obligations for his role in the movie The Founder about the beginning of McDonald's. While John Leguizamo was kept in the back pocket as a backup Vulture.
Wow. What a universe.
I kind of like again. I love Michael
I
Keaton, Adrian
love
Toomes.
Michael Keaton.
I kind of want to see the alternate reality where it's Johnny Legs. I kind of want to see
Johnny
John
Legs.
Leguizamo. I love John Leguizamo, by the way. He's my favorite part of like the Baz Luhrmann Romeo and Juliet. Like
Oh my
far and
god.
away, him as Mercutio is one of my favorite castings ever. Another fun little did you know I didn't have in the notes, but I wanted to bring up because I forgot about this. So we all know J.K. Simmons comes back to play J. Jonah Jameson and at the end of Far From Home, and he has a prominent role in No Way Home as kind of this like Alex Jonesian Infowars
Yeah.
up JJJ, which I love for many for obvious reasons. It's me, but J.K. Simmons was like they were originally starting to talk to Simmons about him coming back as J. Jonah Jameson. And the only reason it basically didn't come to fruition was because J.K. Simmons had a different comic book movie he was obligated to be in. Taylor, have you forgotten that J.K. Simmons played Commissioner Gordon at one point?
Yeah, I did.
Because he played Jim Gordon in Justice League.
Oh, a movie I never cared to see. Wow.
Yeah. And he got jacked. Like there were so many photos of J.K. Simmons. He is built like Omni-Man to have like 5 lines of dialogue in both versions of Justice League.
Talk about putting the work in.
Right? Right? So shouts out J.K. Simmons, Jim Gordon. I loved that version of him. But to wrap up the background segment, Spider-Man Homecoming had a budget of $175 million and made $880 million globally.
I
So
call that a success.
I would call that a smashing fucking success. Taylor, where were you when Spider-Man Homecoming came out?
Oh my god. I don't remember what year was that.
17.
17. I was in college. Yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it mostly because of Michael Keaton. I'm a huge Michael Keaton fan.
July 7th, 2017, to be precise.
I hometown hero Michael Keaton, Pittsburgh boy. Yeah, yeah.
Our Yinzer Vulture.
And he is so good to me in this role. I love how mob bossy he is. I love how devious he is, like how I love how scary he is in a way that's like not like over the top.
Yeah, and I want to talk all about Michael Keaton. I don't want to get lost in the
So
sauce of Michael
good.
Keaton's performance yet because because
Yeah.
he's fucking amazing here.
But yeah, Jared, where were you?
This was the first MCU movie after I was out of high school. I remember, oh my God, this is such a niche joke I'm about to make, and I don't even remember how it was phrased. there was this meme going around that had to do with like somebody being like left out of like a brunch or something, and like somebody like called like their friends traitors or something over it. And I know that Spencer and Joel were in Florida together when this came out, and they saw it together without me. And I remember reposting that meme, but of them, and then a
Wow.
couple people reaching out thinking there was actual beef. Which, harkening back to the Guardians of the Galaxy 2 episode, at this point, a handful of people knew I had a full on nervous breakdown at prom and kind of motherfucked Spencer for a little bit. And people were legitimately like, "Oh my god!" I'm like, "No, no, 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 no! It's a meme! It's a meme!" It's like it was like a year or two when I made that meme about like the starting them early, where it's like the baby in the little crib like watching a phone,
Mm-hmm.
and I did it with Ionized Bastards, and then I had somebody get angry at me because
Mm-hmm.
I made somehow made them think I had a child. Um,
Yeah, just you actually, and it totally like
yeah, all to do with me. Not a word about you, just fully to do with me, and somebody getting
nobody said
very mad at
nothing.
me. Such a funny thing that happened. I remember that. I remember seeing it opening night. Speaking of, uh, you ready for a little blast from the past? Are you ready to see some vintage Jarod?
Oh, great.
Do you remember how the kind of outfits I've talked about wearing in the past?
Uh-huh.
I'll throw this bad boy on screen.
Wow.
This now I the main reason I want to throw this up also shouts out my brother Logan, who said that if I were to feature this photo in the episode, I had to shout out his TikTok. So go follow at Logan Lab on TikTok for for some hot
Updated content.
yeah, to see what Logan looks like now with a perm and a beard and not slick back hair. Go check.
And jacked.
And Jack, also built like a brick shit house. Mm. But I throw this on screen not just as a jaunt down memory lane, and not just to show just how abysmal the quality of fits were back in the day. We got the khaki cargo shorts, the flat brim hat that matches the shirt, like I talked about, same exact shade of red, which I'm impressed by. Um, that shirt is the one I talked about that I got from CBC. That was on the comic book cast T Public. It was called The Prodigal Son Returns. It
Mm,
has the art, or it was called, I think it was just called The Prodigal Son, but it has like that iconic art from the Ultimates of Spider-Man kind of like flinging up through the air, and you can't see it, but the Avengers symbol is covered in webs.
you can see that actually.
Oh, so I could tell how well those of you at home could see it. Um, Also, before I got better at growing a full beard, but no, I, Taylor, this was the first time I was more excited for an MCU movie than an Avengers flick.
Yeah, I
I was,
believe that.
I was always excited for Marvel movies, but like this is the first time I was. If somebody was like, you can only watch however many Marvel movies that are about to come out in the next 2 years, if you said only one, there's a there's a really good chance I pass on Infinity War to see Spider-Man Homecoming. And I remember being so excited. I remember hearing that Donald Glover had been cast. I did not know he was playing Aaron Davis. It didn't even occur to me earlier into the movie. Even when Peter's like overlay comes up and it shows his name, I didn't catch it. And I remember opening night, theater full of people, um, when I like finally put together what was happening. And I was like, oh, wait. I caught him like, oh, wait a minute. Is he Aaron Davis? And then he goes, man, I got a nephew in this neighborhood. I sucked all the air out of the room. And my brother and my dad, the other person who were there at the time, was like, what? And I'm like, it's fucking Miles Morales. Oh my God, Miles is in the MCU. And I'm like, like my mind's racing at 1,000 miles an hour. Obviously, the beauty of the send up of having Donald Glover play Aaron Davis when, the Donald for Spider-Man was a thing where they wanted a black Peter Parker. And then Miles is created in the Ultimate Universe and he's slightly modeled. I read apparently is a hybrid of Obama and Gambino, is how early Miles looked. Like seeing him here, like that just made my heart so full, especially as somebody who loves Donald Glover's music, obviously. Like it was just layer upon layer upon layer upon layer upon layer of like reasons for me to be out of my gourd excited for this movie and blown away by it. And I came out of the theater just really happy with it and so impressed to see Spider-Man tackled so faithfully, but without an almost metatextual grandeur that I kind of came to expect from a Spider-Man movie. And yeah, we teed it up. Let's talk Michael Keaton as Vulture. Such inspired casting. Um,
He is so good. What a union man. Uh, I love myself a working class. I love I it just he's like I said, he is so good in this role. He takes a lot of like inspiration from mob bosses and mob villains, and I think that he translates it really well um into like a scrapper as well. Like, and it's very
yeah,
interesting, like, how he shows care for his crew too. Obviously, he has people in the crew that he deeply values, like the Tinkerer.
right.
And then you have other members of the crew who he's like, all right, you gotta go, you gotta go. You threaten my family, you're out.
Yeah. Shocker one, R.I.P.
Shocker one, RIP.
I didn't check the credits to see if one of them is actually named Herman Schultz or not.
Oh, yeah.
I
I
am
just know
assuming
it's
the
Shocker
first
one
one
and
was
Shocker two.
because Shocker is infamously one of the dumbest people. No, you're 100% right, and what I think is so fascinating again, like Watts from a creative perspective, as well as his plethora of co-writers on the movie, like he makes such interesting choices. Like obviously Adrian Toombs in this movie is a very intelligent individual.
Yeah.
I can only assume he has some amount of background in engineering based on his profession.
Yeah, it's scrapping stuff. It's taking
Yeah,
parts.
like maybe
It's
he's not
it's
like
like
an
the
Empire
chop shop
State.
kind of
Yeah,
thing. Like, it's you there is a level of intelligence that is required whenever you're dealing with like heavy machinery tools and whatnot, like
right.
safety measures, like, what metals can go where, what is corrosive, what's non-corrosive, like battery charges, like, there's a lot of science that does go into it, just like not fancy lab coat science.
Yeah, and to take a villain who is known for being one of Peter Parker's many mad scientist villains.
Fancy lab coat villain.
But again, it's one of those things where I think John Watts kind of went, okay, the majority of on-screen Spider-Man villains up to this point have been mad scientists.
Yeah.
Between Norman Osborn, Otto Octavius, your goat, Kirk Connors, like that is at least one third.
Oh, and then also Electra.
Electro to a lesser extent. Yeah,
Yeah,
like he's not quite mad scientist, but scientifically minded and has a freak accident.
scientists. Yeah,
But like, so yeah, so like, so some type of scientist villain has been Peter's antagonist for most of his on-screen history. So Watt's making the decision to take a character who's kind of in that Green Goblin, Doctor Octopus, the Lizard oeuvre, and make him feel more like a Hammerhead, Tombstone, Kingpin type
Kingpin.
character.
Yeah,
That is like, again, that is such a brave choice. And
I
this
said
movie
Kingpin a
is a
lot during the audio recording, like just the harkening back to the way he behaves, the swagger that he has, but
oh yeah.
also like the immediacy with which he is willing to back that up.
Oh yeah, this Adrian Toombs stands on business, and like I said, I think these are one of those instances where so many conversations happen about comic accuracy, lore accurate, lore accuracy, blah 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 blah. That is such a like buzzword conversation that happens with these movies so often, and a lot of the time it gets boiled down to how much of a faithful adaptation is the costume. right? That's what a lot of the conversations end up boiling down to, for better or worse. And I think these are one of those instances where great storytelling is accomplished and amazing characterization is accomplished when you basically scrape the bare bones of Adrian Toomes and reimagine it completely.
Also, I think he was just like, damn, that's a cool ass name. How about he rocks now?
You know, like,
Adrian Toomes, yeah, that is a guy who would definitely get into bar fight because
yeah.
yeah,
And you maintain that element of him where, like, again, Toomes is one of those villains, like, depending on the iteration, is probably some type of Oscorp burnout, like we see him, he gets the name because of the
there's
wingsuit, but it's
some,
also
and then
he's
there, yeah,
he's scavenging like scraps to like create. I know the animated series, he's like some like weird thing with like eternal life, and the suit is draining his life. And I think in the Spider-Man games they even have it that like the Vulture suit is either giving Adrian cancer or keeping the cancer at bay. So like there's all these ideas of like him like holding on to life, and it being an irony of him being somebody who can only function off of scavenging remains.
hmm
And it's very clever and all that. But to take this character and put him as this working class blue collar kind of villain of circumstance, and to have a name like the Vulture and maintain that like kind of core, like kind of like not even core identity, but this kind of like thematic identity while reshaping him completely, I think is brilliant. And I think it's also great. We mentioned this in the audio commentary, and we mentioned it throughout. If the multiverse saga is about grief in the next generation, the Infinity Saga is about the cost of being a hero. And what I really love is that, and we'll get into the cost of being a hero with Peter, but what I love is the nature of, to be a hero means that you can't save everyone. And to be a hero also unfortunately means your actions, no matter how well intended, no matter how much your heart is in the right place, there will be blowback. There will be people who are negatively affected by what you believe to be the right thing. And
all
even if you're
actions have
right,
consequences.
even if you're right that it's the right thing,
Yep,
there is still going to be fallout. Somebody is going to be negatively affected, and they will carry that with them. And it
every
is your
action
duty to do your best
opposite
to do right
equal
by them.
reaction.
Precisely. And to manifest that with Toomes as somebody who sneers at the Avengers, not just Tony. Like I get Adrian's animus towards Tony Stark, and I do not begrudge Adrian Toomes' loathing of Iron Man. But every time he's like the Avengers, like there's a mocking just poison in his mouth when he says Avengers. Those
Yeah,
Halloween costumed idiots in Stark Tower. Like there's so much hatred in him for that.
because he's the man who's cleaning up the mess.
Yeah, and had the mess taken away from him.
Well, after he was given a contract with the local
Yeah,
government where he invests in like investing in small businesses, a community business, he buys all that equipment. He outright says it like if
I bought
they
trucks for this job.
I bought yeah, like I bought stuff for this and them being like, "Oh well, sorry. Yeah, like you guys are going to put me out of house and home. Like you guys are going to put my daughter on the street."
Yeah, and
No.
and so much of that also is like we see even before that happens though, the way he kind of sneers down at the Avengers, where he's like looking at Liz. What we know by the end of the movie is Liz's drawing as a child when the Battle of New York happened, where he's like, oh, look at this. It's like, I guess it's good. Like when I was a kid, I used to draw cowboys and Indians. Like,
No, you're being very dismissive. He's a good father. He does love that drawing that she did for
no,
him.
he does
He's
love
just
it. I'm not
making
saying
the
he doesn't
direct
love the drawing.
comparison. He's making the direct comparison that this is like these are like there are no more cowboys and Indians. It's superheroes in colorful suits and aliens.
Yeah. No, totally. I'm just saying I feel like even then there's a sense of distrust and a sense of just of disdain for like these for like what for what he perceives and what many in society would say are his societal betters. And I think that that's a valid like distrust and frustration to have because like again at the end of the day you're seeing these people be borderline propagandized at you, and the way that that does in many ways radicalize Toombs. I think in a world where damage control doesn't step in and isn't a problem, that like there's a part of Adrian Toombs who just doesn't fuck with the Avengers. Like I think
Oh
there's a part of
yeah,
him that
but
just doesn't like these super powered fucking freaks
I think it
causing
would
all kinds of chaos.
I think it would be more so they're good for business. So because at
Yeah.
that point he would still have that contract. So I think it would be more of a, oh, they're good for business. I think he still would end up selling weapons on the like black market. I think that would 100% still happen.
Yeah,
Because
because he's the type of guy who gets his from the dirt. He gets his from the dirt.
yeah,
And I do think you're I think there's a part of his brain that does eventually go, here's a little Chitauri tech, here's an Ultron arm, and again, what you were saying, like, oh, they're good for business. Like his tech is not limited to the Battle of New York. It's not just Chitauri weaponry.
it's
Like,
Sokovia.
yeah, he's like, oh, this is from Sokovia, this is from Lagos. Here's all these instances. They're
Because
still
they're
cleaning up that
running the
Triskelion
trades.
mess.
Yeah, they're running like he has scrappers, so everybody he knows, like he works in a network of scrap and like transferring essentially garbage from one place
Yeah,
to another. And then with the tinkerers about like little matter shifter thingy
yeah,
being able to get into those trucks and just kind of take them at will as stuff is being moved from storage container to storage container.
yeah. And all of that is like it makes him sympathetic because he is a villain who gets his from the dirt. And he's a man who gets his from the dirt, and it puts him in a villainous position because again, like what I love so much about this is a lot of the previous on-screen Spider-Man villains in large part are not that sympathetic.
No.
I think
Well,
I even have a hard time even saying me the Otto Octavius Glazer de jour supreme. I don't even think Otto's that sympathetic in Spider-Man 2.
listen, I think we're gonna have a couple different opinions here. I think that certain characters were completely correct in their motivation.
I don't know why I did this to myself. I don't know why I went down that road like a fucking idiot.
Yeah, I
Which
don't
of the
get it.
Spider-Man live screen Spider-Man villains do you think is
It's
sympathetic, Taylor?
completely correct. Yeah, it's the lizard. It's Kurt Connors. That's my man. Okay, he was right the whole time. We would all be better as lizards.
I want everybody. We'll talk about this in a long time
I
from
just,
now. I want everybody at home to know, coming out of Spider-Man No Way Home, this was her main takeaway.
I want to be a lizard. Like my main
You're the
takeaway.
one person who can sense the Kurt Connors.
I yeah, I would be helping him out. Oh my God, I would be his Harley Quinn. Jesus Christ. Um I believe in the vision. I
It's
believe in
like
the
the fucking
vision.
Suicide Squad quote. Like that was his queen. She was
Yeah,
crazier than him, more unstable.
he was crazy. He's like, whoa, 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 whoa. We should only turn people who want to be lizards into
But like,
lizards. And I'm like, no, we should all be lizards.
jokes aside, though, like I think Kurt Connors of the live action Spider-Man villains is the most sympathetic because his plight begins with wanting to regrow his arm.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't
Other than that,
mean
like
to turn into a lizard.
Otto, I don't think is that sympathetic. Like you have the element that yes, the experiment makes the tentacles go crazy and he's not really in control.
Yeah,
But
he does
even
kind
then,
of get hijacked by his tentacle
but
AI.
also by the end, we see him reassert dominance over the tentacles, which
Yeah,
kind of gives you that, which kind of gives the implication that the tentacles activating that darker part of his mind was a permission structure, and he had nothing to live for because Rosie died in that experiment as well. So like, there's all those things going on that like make a lot of these characters kind of complicated, but also the Green fucking Goblin. Like we have we have my grandmama who was hit by a bazooka, you know, like dating this episode. That meme probably won't even be funny by the time this episode's out on the main feed. But like we have Green Goblin chewing the scenery, we have New Goblin and Venom chewing the scenery.
Honk.
Sandman is kind of sympathetic, but it's like his daughter is
He's pretty
vaguely
sympathetic,
his
yeah.
daughter is vaguely sick and he's robbing banks and killing Uncle Ben over it. You know, Electro is supposed to be sympathetic, but the characterization is so out of this world. And then
And then he just kind of becomes dope as hell.
and then he becomes obsessed with power, and we have Meth Mouth Goblin, and
Yeah,
now
and
we
that
have
was a
Vulture.
weird turn. Yeah.
I
And then we have
cannot
Rhino
wait.
actually.
I cannot wait to watch Amazing Spider-Man 2. But all of that to say, he like Adrian is so sympathetic, and there's a like in the same way that like we culturally worship outlaws.
Mm-hmm.
Culturally, we worship people who stick it to the system, who break the law, who get theirs from the dirt. You know, we have always done that from like,
Stick
you
it to
know,
the
from
man.
stick it to the man. We love it with cowboys. We love it with the mob, with like your Tony Sopranos. You
Mhm.
know, like in hip hop, in music, like we love people who are like you're a self made man. It's almost this like in many ways, it's like this hyper capitalist like you know if
Pull
you
yourself
don't
up by your bootstraps.
pull yourself up by your bootstraps to the nth degree.
Well, no, this is the P. Yeah, this is I have pulled myself up by my bootstraps.
Yeah,
Like
but my
here, Vulture
bootstraps
is
was being an alien arms dealer to gangbangers throughout the eastern
listen,
seaboard.
everybody has a different, you know, specialty. Um, some of us is stealing, stripping, and robbing alien tech.
Up to and including like probably getting ready to sell like a repulsor gauntlet to like a violent criminal.
He
Like,
wasn't violent. He was not violent. He just wanted guns, regular guns.
who are you talking about?
That is the most American thing. I'm talking about the Prowler.
Oh, I'm talking about goddamn Scorpion who's already
Oh,
gone
hell nah. That guy
who's
is
already been locked up for homicide.
that guy is fully crazy.
Matt Gargan already has a rap sheet that includes killing a person,
Mac Gargan
and
in
we were
any
going to give
universe
him like
is
Chitari
not to be
Ultron
trusted.
shit. Which I also have to say, Michael Mondo does so much with so little in this movie.
He like
I cannot wait for him to be in Brand New Day. I need to see that man in a green mech suit stat.
oh, I am so excited. I think it's gonna look so good. I think he's gonna be scary.
100%. I know. I know you didn't watch Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man because the art style put you off.
Did not like it.
The Scorpion in that show is legitimately terrifying.
Yeah, you were talking. I was hovering while you were watching.
Like scary son of a bitch, that Matt
Yeah.
Gargan, and I hope they maintain that. But yeah, all of that to say, like it's really fun, especially when I believe our next movie. I'm sorry, our next movie is Ragnarok, and then after that is Black Panther. Like the almost 1-2 punch of Vulture, Killmonger,
Mm.
of like getting these villains who are less just a freak or less just an obsessed or like a revenge obsessed asshole. Like this is just a guy who like made some bad
Who's
decisions, but
just
he's a
trying to
guy.
do, yeah, he's just trying to make it right by his daughter, give her the life he always wanted to give her.
Yeah, just makes him so compelling. And again, Keaton's performance, obviously the scene where he figures it out,
Oh,
is so good,
he
so
knows,
good. Like
he
it's, I
knows,
remember
he
sitting in the
knows.
theater, white knuckling my armrests as
Oh,
every detail is like, oh yeah, Peter, da, 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 da. Yeah, and then Peter disappeared, and then Spider-Man showed up, huh?
oh.
And then Peter disappeared, and then Spider-Man showed up, huh?
Hmm. Oh
And
my
again,
God, P, I'm so glad he was there to save all of you. He
that
actually wasn't on the elevator with us.
that when the light turns green and you get that green glow on Adrian's face as he hits
Uh,
the good old Spider-Man. And it's like I think there's another thing about Keaton's performance is that like he has such a distinctive voice that is so hard to recreate that like it's almost in the same way that like when I see clips of people talking about Dusty Rhodes,
Well, for me,
People,
it's the Beetlejuice of it all. Like it
yeah,
is that
it's that rasp and the
sinister.
little bit of a lisp.
It's like that sinister. Like the thing that I wish we got out of Beetlejuice was
What a dumb title, but
more of the like sinister side of Beetlejuice. I think that
right.
that would have been a much more fun direction for me, just because like we get all of these allusions to things that he has done that are like
Wildly fucked up.
wildly fucked up, to the point where like the afterlife has a system of like deploying random brothels to distract and
Contain Beetlejuice.
for even just a couple days. And then in the second one, he's just like really a dude, like he's just a guy, and it's like, man,
Yeah.
you guys really took it to my boy,
Yeah, well,
but
because they knew he's the marketing thing, so like, let's make him more entertaining and
likable,
make him the hero who has a heel turn and then has to be defeated.
and
Like,
then it's good actually because he's gonna save the family,
yeah,
but he's actually still bad because he's always bad.
yeah,
But like here, you get to see a little bit more of that like controlled rage,
yeah.
because as soon as he knows that he knows everything in that moment, like he's got it all,
Well, what I love so much is like, I don't even
because
know if
he
rage is the right word, because you have that amazing beat where like, because it truly does not feel personal to me at all. Like, it's just you're in my goddamn way, and I need you to
no, yeah,
move. And what I love so much is he takes the gun out of the glove compartment and he turns around and which when he says to Peter, "Does she know? Know what?" Chuckles. Okay, so she doesn't.
yeah,
Good.
play it close to the vest, I like that.
Yeah, like you can tell that if Peter said, "Yeah, Liz knows I'm Spider-Man and she's trying to bullshit you badly," pop, 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 pop. Like he, like even I don't even think he's gonna shoot him in the car because he's
He
gonna
would not
blow
shoot
his
him in the
cover.
car,
But
yeah.
like that's the impulse. Like that's the moment he tells Shocker, lure him out and kill him.
No, I
Not
think in that moment, if he turned around and Peter was like, yes, I think he would have drove off with him still. Like I think he would have just not let him get out.
something like that. Either
I
way,
don't
like
think he would have let him get out, because I think at that moment he would have been like, all right, well, I'm just going to take you then, because I can't even risk you making this decision. You've already made this decision.
yeah, no, that's exactly what I mean. Though, is that like
And if I let you out, you can tell my daughter now that you know who I am, because I know you've always like I know you've seen me. You like we were
yeah, yeah, because the ferry, like he's
Yep,
like you. I was probably made on the ferry. If the feds know who I am, you know,
he
Spider Man
knows.
does.
And because he would assume that the feds are working with Spider-Man. That he would have assumed that's how they found
Which,
him.
like, from a certain point of view,
Eh.
they're
Um,
Tony and happy.
and I think that if Peter had said that Liz knew, he would have just driven off with him.
He doesn't give Peter a choice, and that's what I'm getting to. He doesn't like give
And
Peter the choice to
he,
not get involved in
you
this
know
last
what?
job.
You are playing it close to the vest. You already saved my daughter's life, so that in turn has already saved your life. We're
Yeah.
done.
Oh, I love that. Like, I just saved your life. What do you say? Thank you. You're welcome, Pete.
Oh,
Oh,
and then he's like,
god
"Yeah,
damn.
go show my daughter a good time." Not too good. Ooh. Because again, he's just fuck. So he is a scary guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
I think it's one of the like it's one of those instances where you have to, and we'll get off of Vulture here in a second because I do want to talk about other things, but like there's a trade off that happens, right? Like I've been talking about that with the MCU, like the trade off for Thor developing as a character and taking himself less seriously is that we lose the grandiose thous, thys, and theins, and like we lose the Shakespearean language, but we get a Thor who is more worldly in our world. I think a similar trade-off happens here where it's like I legitimately want more of Michael Keaton's Vulture so badly. But he ends his arc in such a great place where he bullshits the Scorpion
Oh, yeah.
in
If
the
I already
post-credit
knew who
scene.
he was, he'd already be dead.
Yeah,
Because he
because
saved
the favors
it's it.
repaid where
It
Peter could
that's
have let
it.
him die. It
Yep.
would have been easier if Peter let him fucking
Yep.
explode.
And he didn't. He saved my life anyway. I'm about to go see my family, which I'm still allowed to do. Because this boy who I was straight up trying to kill
Yeah,
saved my life.
and he showed me mercy.
So no, actually I don't know who he is.
Yeah, just so brilliant. It's that trade off though, where it's like if for whatever reason Toombs gets out of prison,
We're done.
Adrian
Yeah, we're
Adrian
already
Toombs
they're
gets
even.
blipped, and they make the argument that he served his sentence because he died, and now he's back, and Toombs is
Oh
out, and he's a
God.
free
You
man,
know if I was a lawyer, I'd be going crazy.
and he turns back to his life of crime. Like I don't like
If that's the precedent that gets set, that if you blip, that counts as dying, and that means you automatically, it's like a get out of jail free card. That is bad for a lot of
really.
people.
There's some bad
It's
mamma
some bad
jammas who
man.
are getting out of
I
prison who
was
should
gonna
not
say
leave.
bad man pajamas too.
But
I was literally bad. I was bad, and then you already said Mama Jam. I was like, oh no.
but yeah, no. So Keaton Vulture just perfection. Um,
Peter.
okay, I just gotta go direct to camera here for a second. I'm gonna full screen myself for this actually. I hate you motherfuckers for saying Iron Boy Jr. so much. I hate it so much with a virulent passion because you are contradicting the point of this whole movie. This whole movie is Peter rejecting being Iron Boy Jr. And the next movie is about Peter having to grapple with the fact that people are forcing him to be Iron Boy Jr. and he doesn't want to be. The whole point is that this is a young man who is becoming a superhero. He is one of the first blips, no pun intended, kind of a charged word in this context, but he is one of the first drops in the bucket of a new generation, and he has to grapple with this greater universe existing around him. It is not Iron Boy Jr., it is a kid who is aspiring to be like the arguable greatest scientific mind of his time before he had superpowers, because Tony Stark is the goddamn Mick Jagger of scientists. But he also is grappling with, like, he has all of these icons that he has to look up to: Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, Black Widow, all of this literal pantheon that is forming in front of him. Of course he wants to be like them. Of course he wants to impress them. I am a grown ass man. Do you have any idea how happy it makes me when Armin texts me and says, "Hey, I watched the episode that went up today. It was really good"? That means a lot to me. It makes me really happy and excited because it's a guy I looked up to as a kid. I can only imagine when the stakes are this high and you're a literal goddamn superhero trying out to be an Avenger, how much the legacy means to you and how meaningful it is when Peter goes, "No, I want to be a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man." And no, Infinity War does not walk that back because Peter wants to get involved in taking on this crazy threat when a literal alien invasion is happening again in the heart of New York City, that he gets involved and wants to take the fight to these bastards.
I made a bowl and everybody was excited for me, and that was a big moment. So I like totally understand exactly what you mean by all of that.
I just hate the way. And it was a great bowl, but like I just
You actually
hate.
haven't seen it yet, so you
I
wouldn't know.
haven't seen it. I thought it was a bowl I've seen.
Mm-mm.
Oh, I'm excited to
The big
see. I'm
one.
sure it's going to be a great bowl. Um,
Who knows? Maybe by the time this episode hits the main feed, I'll have it.
that'll be the follow up. It's like showing off the bowl. Um, but like, I just think this is one of those moments where it's like I just want to grab nerds and shake them. Where it's like just people just don't get MCU Spider-Man, And again, I understand the frustration that like two of Peter's villains, let's be honest, this Peter's only two main villains are in some way connected to Tony Stark.
Yeah.
I get the frustration there.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Now, I would argue that Vulture is more a commentary on the upper crust that Peter is aspiring to be while not fully appreciating the people like Toombs who he should be serving and not trying to impress the Avengers.
Hmm.
And that it's that I think it's an oversimplification that Vulture doesn't have beef with Spider-Man, his beef is with Iron Man. I think that's an oversimplification. I think there's more ground to stand on with Mysterio.
Yeah, I think Mysterio is way more of a this is Tony Stark's like villain, and for some reason he's really down to fight this child.
And but again, I will then take that and go, and we'll talk about it more with Far From Home. That is so much of the core theme about, it goes back to the conversation Peter and Tony have in this movie. Is I just wanted to be like you. I wanted you to be better. Like Peter does that. Peter surpasses Tony Stark. Spider-Man surpasses Iron Man because he is able to deal with problems he didn't even create. He's able to defeat
Yeah, but he
Mysterio.
has to because Tony can't deal with all the problems he constantly creates.
Oh, sure. And by the time Far From Home, he can't. He's fucking dead. like, you
Well,
know,
what a
but
cop out. I always
what a
say the
cop
same
out
thing.
dying.
It is. It's the world's greatest cop out.
Sacrificing yourself to save the entire universe is a cop out.
Sometimes.
Oh, I love you. You're ridiculous. I love you so much. Um, but no, I
Yoda did
just think
it, so he didn't have to admit that Vader was loose. He was like, I'm gonna actually just die.
On the topic of Yoda, real quick, whenever I was listening to the Force Center Live where they were talking about favorite Jedi, and I called in to talk about Mace Windu. Later, whenever Eli was on talking about Yoda, Joseph Scrimshaw was joking about like one of the funniest Yoda moments is when Luke goes, "So I am a Jedi," and I forgot that this is like, it didn't occur to me how funny this beat is when Luke goes, "So I am a Jedi," and Yoda's only reply is, "Rrr!" And then it's
Yeah, he's kind of a dick.
so funny, fucking hilarious. But no, I love so much of like who Peter is here. And again, this is not a new concept that Peter Parker would want to impress the OGs. Like one of the earliest stories we have of Spider-Man is him breaking into the Baxter building to try to join the Fantastic Four, a group that by name cannot take on another member. Like
They could be the Fab Five.
they even be the Fantastic Five for all I care. But that is the level of it. Like this is not a new concept that Peter Parker is kind of obsessed with impressing the OGs and wanting to live up to the example. And I think that like now that we finally are able to put Spider-Man in this greater world, I think this was the perfect route to take him of being somebody who wants to be one of the big dogs, who wants to be up there, and in his time trying to prove himself has helped so many of the little people like Adrian Toombs who feel left behind,
Yeah,
that he is that friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
the lady with the churro.
The lady with the churro, and yeah, he's imperfect, you know, he's not creating psychotic, revenge obsessed lunatics. You know, Peter doesn't have a whiplash. Well, I mean, he did create Scorpion, but like
He did.
Scorpion's not out
Scorpion.
of lockout yet. He's not
Okay,
out of lockup yet.
Scorpion technically created Scorpion, if you want to say that like he put himself in that situation.
Oh, I just mean Peter took an
However,
action that inadvertently started a one-sided blood feud.
yeah,
like like
yeah,
that
that guy
like
does blame a child for like getting knocked off a ship and into the propeller.
yeah, and taking a car to the face, which
I would
insane that
say,
Scorpion survived.
I would have to say that the propeller is probably worse than the car. As somebody who's been on a boat,
Yeah.
I would say that I would rather get hit by a car than get hit by a propeller.
Fair enough. But like barring Scorpion, who at time of recording this episode is not out of prison yet, it is not yet the Scorpion. Like
Just Mac.
Peter hasn't created a Whiplash. Peter hasn't created a Zemo. Peter hasn't created an Ultron. You know, because what he's
He has
doing
created a Karen.
has created Karen. You know, he hasn't like he's protecting the little guy. And that is what makes him so special. He is somebody who can do something that gets him rewarded with a churro, as well as take on the mad goddamn Titan on his own home turf. Like that is the spectrum of what Spider-Man is capable of. And because of like what the default settings are for Iron Man, Thor, Captain America, the rest of the Avengers, they're not stopping petty larceny. You know, they're not taking time out of their day to like, hey, can you give that guy his money back? Like, I'm sorry you're falling on hard times. Like again, Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man does this so great, where there's a moment where somebody sticks up a pizza place, and Peter happens to be swinging by, and the guy's like, "Oh, stop, stop, stop! They took all the money out of the register." Peter stops the person. He doesn't rough him up at all. Doesn't beat him up or anything. He goes, "Hey, I understand you need this money. This guy is not Pizza Hut. He can't just take what's in the register on the chin, and I think you know that." And the person's like, "Yeah, you're right." And Peter walks them back to the pizza shop, gives the guy his money back, and I'm pretty sure the guy who owns the pizza shop goes, "Hey man, I get it. Just don't steal from me again. Here's a free pizza. Here's a whole free pie
Yeah, that's
because we were
the
able to
kindness
resolve
of
this."
comic books.
Huh?
That's the kindness of comic books.
Yeah. And maybe I'm Pollyanna, maybe I'm immature, maybe I'm silly. That's the kind of like hope and like faith in our fellow man these stories are supposed to inspire.
Yeah.
And somebody like Spider-Man is legitimately at this point in time, barring maybe Ant-Man, the only hero in the MCU who is capable of that.
Yeah.
Because everybody else's sights are set such higher. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but we need street level heroes too. Street level heroes who are concerned with the goings on of the little people and helping them.
Like you guys would need like a defenders.
We don't have time for that. I'm sure the other guys do. Um, but uh, but yeah, like I just love so much of Peter's arc here, and I said it in the audio commentary. I do legitimately believe Tony that it was a test.
I don't.
Here's the thing. I think Tony went into that going one of two things is going to happen.
Obviously, that's because he's a very smart man,
Yeah,
but
I think he was like, okay, and if Peter says no, I'm just going to propose to Pepper today.
I think I fully agree. That's what I
Like
think.
I was just
I
saying,
think
I believe him when he says this
sure it's a
was one of
test.
his intentions. It was
If
just a plan
if
A or
you think
plan
it's a
B.
test, it's a test. If you're ready to go out there and say that you're an Avenger, then get the suit on.
Yeah, and again, it's so much of it for me with Peter is that indomitable will. You know, I think that is one of the things that ever since I was a kid was like there are few heroes who get their shit kicked in and keep fighting like Spider-Man.
Yeah.
You know, like pretty much every comic book character ever has had a moment like that. But there are few that it hits the way it does like it does for Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And I remember
I
I'm
know how
getting
personal this is to you.
like cuz all right, I'm gonna get real personal for a second. How about that? I'm gonna get really personal. I think every single kid who felt like some amount of some level of outcast who loved superhero media saw themselves in Spider-Man. It is the power of the character. as Stan Lee said, anybody can wear the mask. And there was a point in time where I fell into the camp that I know a lot of people do, which is another issue I have with the way Spider Man is talked about as a character. That Peter constantly suffering is what defines him. You know, and that goes beyond the Parker luck. Like Parker luck, like, you know, like Peter Peter saved a burning pizzeria and left with like dough on his ass. Like,
Hmm.
you know, like that's Parker luck. Other things of bigger magnitudes, that's Parker luck. But I'm talking about the people who are like, if Peter Parker is not living in abject poverty and his life is miserable, it doesn't feel right. And I, when I was younger, kind of subscribed to that. That like Peter is inspiring because he kind of lives in misery, but does the right thing almost begrudgingly because he knows it's the right thing. And, you know, Steve Ditko's his early shit with Spider-Man, where he's kind of a weird Ayn Randian asshole, um, like lends itself to that, you know? And the older I got, the more I realized that it is not Peter Parker is constantly suffering. It's that Peter Parker understands how much giving people hope gives himself hope.
Hmm.
And that even when he is the most down and out, in my opinion, Spider Man is the most compelling because not only will he get up, not only will he continue to fight, he will do so kind of with a smile on his face because he knows he's doing the right thing and he knows that's going to lift people up. And this movie that has Peter in uncomfortable situations, in situations where he has to pick, again, the cost of being a hero. Does Peter Parker get to kind of go on an unofficial kind of pool date with Liz Allen? And, you know, maybe this will kind of get some motion. Or do I have to hunt down these fucking arms dealers in Baltimore? You know, do I get to be in marching band? Do I get to be in decathlon? Do I get to be in robotics?
Actually, he definitely did get to do all of those things. He chose to quit those, and I feel like that was. I personally think that that is a huge failing as on Happy's part, as far as being like a guardian of the Spider-Man portion of it. I think that that was a huge L. I think that
Sure.
Happy should have been paying more attention. I think he should have been more like, you do not have to quit all of these activities. Please don't quit them. Like, when we need you, you will know, instead of just blowing him off.
No, I agree with you completely on that. I'm just saying that like it lends itself to how
Sorry, I'm
South
very passionate about that. That made me so mad rewatching this.
same. But like no, I'm just saying, but like that speaks to how self-sacrificial Spider-Man is, how
Of
self-sacrificial
course,
Peter Parker is.
but he's just
You know, but like but I think people are wrong when they think that that means that Peter lives in misery. You know, like we had a like over the holidays, Joel came over and visited, and not to put Joel's business in the street, but he was talking. You know, Joel, you know, he's a doctor, and he was talking about. I was like, hey, how's work treating you? Because you have a more stressful job than anybody I know. And Joel basically said something to the effect of, "I'm tired all the time. This job sucks my soul out. I have no personal life. Everything revolves around what is going on in this hospital. I wouldn't trade it for the world."
yeah,
You know? And I think that there is this sense of,
a good man.
and that's Peter Parker. That's what Peter Parker is.
Yeah.
It's yes, like this is kind of sucking my soul out, but if I have to pull an all-nighter to stop Craven the Hunter, I'm gonna pull an all-nighter and stop Craven the Hunter. Like that's who he is. And there's a like he there are moments where he does not love being Spider-Man. And he does not love making those choices because those choices suck. But he still rises to the occasion, and it fulfills him. And I hate the way that people go, oh, like, you know, like Peter and May aren't on the verge of being evicted, therefore Peter has no struggle. That's fucking ridiculous. That is
That's actually
insane.
also not necessarily like that is not how poverty works. Like you can be like you could be on like you could be as close to homeless and still live in a full house as like not having utilities running at any given time. Like the uh, the desire to see like and I sorry if this is inappropriate wording for some delicate ears, but like the desire for like poverty porn is ridiculous. Like the necessity to be like, no, if I don't see you actively struggling, like worrying every moment about every single bill, worrying every moment about this, that, and the other thing, then you are inherently not struggling enough.
Yeah,
That is so damaging to like us as a culture as a whole. The desire to continue to want to see visible struggle for people. Like, oh my God, can we like can we have some like there is no you do not need to see somebody struggling to put together change for a loaf of bread at the supermarket to feel like to feel compassion for your fellow man.
yeah,
Like you can understand that people are struggling and they may not need like you may not physically see it because some people have gotten really good at being poor too.
yeah,
Like people who live in poverty for long periods of time can get really good at being at spending every dime
yeah.
the right way, and like
And
making sure that like yeah, you do always have food because of the food that you buy. Like it's not high end by any means,
yeah,
but I bet May knows how to make a goddamn good ass soup. Like
yeah.
and
Not
also
so much the turkey meatloaf.
Marissa Tomei.
Not so much the
Oh,
turkey meatloaf that she set on fire.
oh
But
baby.
but no, and I agree with everything you're saying. We'll talk about Marissa Tomei because I think that's also inspired goddamn
So
casting.
hot.
But all of that to say, like, yeah, and like, yes, I do think Peter, like, struggling to make ends meet makes him feel more human, especially in a Marvel pantheon that is a lot of like hyper rich people whose day job is being a superhero.
Yeah.
You know, like it does set him apart, but like I don't think that is such a crucial element that Peter being like adjacent to wealth because of his proximity to the Avengers and Tony Stark inherently takes away the struggles that define the Peter Parker Spider-Man divide.
Plus,
Does,
as we
and what I
know,
say
we
is what
will
I'm
see
making
that
sense.
change happen, I hope, in this next film that we are getting, where
Yeah, and I think
it,
we're gonna get more of that because he's on his own, and like
yeah,
I think that's
which is
that's
also very different. Because, like, let's be serious, May has a job, like, she does something. And, like,
yeah.
after this, she finds out he's Spider-Man and gets
She
a
starts
job
working for the Stark Foundation in
for,
Far From
yeah, so,
Home,
like,
and
they are
is
cool.
working for no, I'm sorry, she's working for Feast. By
But
the
they're,
time of Far
yeah,
From Home, she's working for Feast, still working for
and
Feast and No Way Home, which
Stark
is a
is funding that.
non-profit, but still.
But Stark is funding that. Like that's a big thing is that like as soon as he has the ability, like she's still working for a nonprofit, she's not making an ass ton of money, but
Yeah,
like she's making enough money for them to live like just live comfortable. Like be okay.
yeah,
We are good. We don't have to worry about, my bill. Like I would say that at the end of like at the beginning of next movie, the bills are on auto pay for the first time in their lives.
yeah,
Now they're still not like going crazy, like they're not, and nobody has the
yeah.
pinnacle of every technology and this and that and the other thing.
It's a big deal that Peter's going to Europe.
It's a huge and that there that may
And part of that
and
is
the
probably
rent
being
is not
paid
paid.
for by
The rent
probably Happy fucking Hogan.
and the rent is also paid. Like
Yeah. Like they and again,
that's it.
I just think boiling down like Peter's struggle to like Peter Parker's poor is like so reductive and stupid.
I mean,
And
it's important because poverty shapes, you know, your outlook on life, but like I don't there's no need for me to be like, yeah, let's watch poverty porn.
and
Like
like
there's enough of that in real life. We like are living in a great recession of our times and the worst economy and a million other different things.
And I will
So
even go so far as to say, like, and to make clear my stance, there's room for it. I think the framing is
we are
important.
going to have to take a brief intermission.
Okay, can I finish this thought and then do your mission?
Yes.
Like, one of my favorite Spider-Man stories, the Insomniac Spider-Man game, Peter's homeless. Like, Peter gets evicted while he's like fighting Mr. Negative and has to crash at Feast. But it's framed as Peter going, "Oh shit, I got too busy doing Spider-Man stuff, forgot to do Peter shit." And now this happened. But there's still that hopeful moment where Aunt May is like, "Crash at Feast, here's some money, we'll sort this out." It's not framed as like, "Oh, he has to be Spider-Man because he's homeless." Like, it's just insane, whatever. But we'll take a break and we'll come back and we'll talk some more Spider-Man Homecoming. And we are back. I feel like we kind of touched on it a little bit here and there, just kind of talking about the overall themes of like Spider-Man trying to like kind of be his own hero already, kind of outside of the shadow of the Avengers. I do briefly kind of want to, sorry, I'm gonna take a sip because I felt a cough coming. Um, I do
Uh,
want to talk about like Tony and his kind of presence in the movie as a mentor figure. Um, because I do like the idea of like I enjoy Tony being this imperfect mentor, and how much how much of this mentor mentee relationship already kind of hinges on the fact that Tony knows Peter is better than him, and Tony knows that Spider-Man will rise to the occasion and be a better, more well-rounded, uh not just symbol for people, but just more effective at superheroing than Iron Man ever was. And I really like that dynamic. How do you feel about Tony in this picture?
I am pretty indifferent with him here. I could have, like, I don't know. My opinion, I don't, I don't like how central he is to so much of the Spider-Man of the MCU. I don't like it.
Fair.
I wish it was more Peter based, but I'm I'm happy with the I'm happy with what we have because it's quite good. I just wish that I could have had more of the independent Spider-Man.
Right.
And I wish we could have seen more of the independent Spider-Man. Um, but and that's where I get I'm not in love with the second one because of the Mysterio of it all, the Tony Stark of it all, the everything comes back to him for some
I
reason
say I
of
feel
it
like my
all.
crash out over people saying Iron Boy Jr. is like it
Yeah.
stopped you from saying it just. But no,
But
I think there's a difference between boiling it down to Iron Boy Jr. and saying like I think
no,
Tony's
the
a little too involved in
that
this
one
in
is
his
way
journey.
too much. Like there's so way, 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 way. I am no, I'm so good, actually. I would have preferred a multitude of different things to that.
Yeah.
But you get what you get and
Yeah.
you keep going. So,
I
I
wouldn't be surprised. I don't know this for a fact. I didn't mean to cut you off. I don't know this for a fact. I would not be surprised if like Tony Tony being the MCU character who leads off this Spider-Man trilogy was a Sony thing because
and
they know Iron Man makes money. Like
again,
there's a part of me
for
that
the
doesn't
problem, you know,
yeah, I
I'm
just wouldn't be
not,
surprised if that
yeah,
was a them thing because Nick Fury in Far From Home, I don't want to say that Tony sticks out here because again, I like the role he plays and I like how he plays it. But I think Fury melds in a lot easier. Doctor Strange in No Way Home also feels like a really natural inclusion in that story. And I think that like the whole Tony Stark is mentoring Peter Parker thing as such a central conceit here does, for lack of a better term, stick out a little bit. And I can admit that.
I just in the second one it is the worst to me because the villain's entire motivation is like weirdly boiled down to an Iron Man thing. And it's fine. But in this, I enjoy a lot of what it kind of brought. I think it's incredibly fucked up that Tony brought this child to Germany across the world, international borders,
I'm just gonna let
to
you have this one. I have no
fight.
rebuttal.
You can't. There really isn't one.
Really don't
You
have.
can't. He lied to a child about what was going on in the situation because literally all Peter continuously says is, I don't know. He keeps saying that Cap gone crazy. Cap's gone crazy. Cap is wrong and out of his mind and won't admit that he's wrong. That's it. That is the extent of what Peter is being told. And again, in this movie, we see that Tony was like, yeah, well, if Captain America wanted to lay you out, he would have laid you out. So, like, Tony inherently, he brought a child to this fight, but he also knew that Steve was not going to hurt this child.
I will say
So he
my
brought a
mild
child,
rebuttal to
he
that
put
point
a child
exactly
in danger.
is that I don't think Tony sent Peter in with the intention of Peter ever going 1v1 with anybody. I think Peter was meant to be there for crowd control
I don't
because of how his
care.
power set lends itself
I do
towards.
not care. That is a
No,
child.
no. The main point stands, and I'm not going
That
to
is a
defend Tony. I'm
child.
just saying tactically, I don't think he ever intended on it
Boo.
being Peter is just going to 1v1 Steve Rogers
When
for a
I
payday.
summon my Quaist in Baldur's Gate, I don't even let him fight. Okay. He has to turn invisible. I know it's a Quasit or whatever, but I like Quaist. I think it's cuter. And I make him go invisible and I make him go hide. So that way he's safe. Okay. Because I refuse to put anything in danger that should not be there. Okay. And Tony was like, child, get on in here, baby.
Tony does try to keep Peter out of the Thanos fight.
Wow, what growth. What growth.
That's
Um,
all I got.
yeah, and it's pretty bad. So it's one of those things where I'm like, okay, yeah, so double down and tell me I'm right again. No problem. Love that for me.
I do really like though. Again, like I want you to be like me. I wanted to be like you. I want you to be better.
Yeah,
You
that's
know the
love
way
that beat.
the beat. There's also such a great subtle beat for Tony specifically, like a marker of Tony's growth, where it's you can't take away the suit. I'm nothing without the suit. If you're nothing without the suit,
So
then you
soon.
shouldn't have
Yeah.
it. Like that. Like you can see the like beautiful
He built that
strand
in a cave with a box
that
of scraps.
that not even but goes back to Iron Man 3 too,
Oh
where
no, I
like
feel like it goes all the way back there. If you are nothing without it, then you shouldn't have it.
no, for sure. But I mean, just like for here, where he was in Iron Man 3.
Yeah,
The last saw Tony ostensibly by himself, like Tony in his own story. Not like Tony where he's a supporting player, or like he's part of an ensemble. Like Tony's last Tony Stark story was him obsessively, compulsively building Iron Man suits
yeah,
because he was like, if I don't have this titanium security blanket, like the world's gonna explode. And seeing him at this point where he goes, no, 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 do not boil. Like it is a moment of tough love. Like I do think eventually Tony has a sit down with Peter and gives him the suit back at some point in time and has a conversation. But in that moment, I do think there is an element of like you cannot boil yourself down to gadgets and gizmos.
yep,
Spider-Man is you,
yeah.
and again, the fact that we get the again, I was saying earlier, I was getting choked up thinking about it, but like the come on Spider-Man, where he lifts a building off of himself. and we talked about it in the
The
audio comment.
baby.
We talked about it in the audio commentary,
Oh,
where
my
we see
poor
him
baby.
kind of metaphorically perform these acts of physical strength that correspond to him realizing that it's not it's not the Stark suit,
Come on.
it's not web grenades and trip mines and instant kill
Uh,
mode. It's you. It's what you, Peter, can do with not just your powers but with your spirit. And Tony seeing something in Peter that he does not have in himself. Yes, Tony has spirit, and he's daring, and he's bold, and he's brave, and he's cunning, but you know there is no come on Spider-Man, because that's not who Tony is. And he sees that in Peter, and he's like, no, you cannot reduce yourself to the suit the way I've reduced myself to suits.
uh,
And that, I think, is brilliant. Like, that for me, like, Tony's whole presence in this movie being that beat shared between them, like even if I didn't like Tony in this movie, that moment alone is worth him being here to me. But also, Marissa Tomei is such inspired casting.
God,
Again,
she's so hot.
there are instances in this movie, and we talked about this in the audio commentary,
Mama Sita.
where I do feel like they go.
God exists. And I know because we have Marissa Tomei and
But
you little tank tops and them high waisted jeggings.
there are so many
Whoo,
instances
baby.
in the movie where it feels like, in Homecoming, that is, where again it feels like this is such a breath of fresh air. The John Hughesian
She is a breath
framing.
of fresh air.
You're
Bark,
about to do
I'm
the
about to bark like a dog.
You're about to do the Wild Wild West. I think she's a breast of fresh ass. Oh, but
to bark like a dog.
there are so many like, again, like, it doesn't feel as grand as the other movies felt. There's stuff like that. There are also maybe negative trade-offs where it feels like the movie's not allowed to say Uncle Ben.
No, they are not.
That feels weird. But one of the trade-offs of, okay, how do we do something wildly different? And that is, like, because again, like, the Aunt May has been getting progressively younger. Like, we start with the Raimi trilogy.
Well, so has Peter. So
Rosemary. Yeah, thankfully. But we start with Rosemary, and then we get Sally Field. So, like, that's a big jump. And, like, at the very least, what is
we
her
also
name?
went from Toby to Andrew, both high school students.
Yeah. But I think, like, coming down, like, okay, like, let's let Aunt May be, like, middle aged. And
Let's
I
make
think that
her the age of an aunt, not an like auntie.
yeah. And I think it's such an inspired casting that, again, like, you ask somebody, oh, who would you cast to play Aunt May?
And nobody
Never
would
in
sit
a
on
billion years do I think 9 out of 10 people say
so
Marissa
May.
Tomei. Like, so inspired, and she brings so much heart and warmth to the role that, like, it just makes a huge difference.
And body yaddy 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 yaddy.
And body yaddy yaddy yaddy. But yeah, just again, this movie is just so.
I'm actually starting to sweat. Hold on.
There's just so many inspired choices this movie makes, from Vulture to Aunt May, to a lot of the framing devices. I love Spider-Man: Homecoming, and what a picture,
What a film.
what a film. But one other thing, one last trivia question I meant to write down and I didn't. Did you? I'll just frame it this way. Did you know that Peter's main teacher, like the decathlon coach, is an already existing MCU character?
No.
You know the guy that Bruce Banner gives a pizza to in Incredible Hulk at the school? Because there's like a really tight shot of him, like, holding up the piece of pizza while he's sitting at the computer. That is canonically the same character because it's the same actor.
No idea. Never heard of him.
Yeah. Yeah, Peter's teacher was present whenever the Hulk had to fight the army at that college. I can't even remember what school it was. I'm sure it's
so
one
he
of the big
knows
Ivy
Betsy.
Leagues. Yeah, he does know Betty.
Isn't it Georgetown? No.
Let me Google it.
Is it Betsy or is it Betty?
Betty.
Who's
The,
Betsy?
the woman who designed the American flag. Her name is supposed to sound similar.
No. Don't be a jerk.
What?
There's somebody else named Betsy, ain't there?
No, there's Betty Ross, who is Thunderbolt Ross's daughter, Culver University in Virginia. There's Betty Ross, who is the
Hey,
daughter of Thunderbolt Ross and Bruce Banner's love interest, and then there's Betsy
Liv Taylor.
Ross,
Liv Taylor.
who is the woman who designed the American flag. Two different people, but Betty's name is
Tyler.
supposed to sound similar because
Oh,
Thunderbolt
that
Ross
could
is a
work.
red-blooded American.
Yes. Sorry. I just remembered I have a treat tomorrow. In real life. I get to go see Liv Tyler.
That's on Friday.
God damn it.
We're seeing Lord of the Rings on Friday. But if Taylor, is that all you have for Spider-Man: Homecoming?
I do believe it. Maybe everything I have for Spider-Man Homecoming. I love Michael Keaton. I want more Michael Keaton. I want Michael Keaton in everything personally. I do have a little bit of a crush on Michael Keaton. But I
Hometown
think that's
hero.
pretty normal. Yeah. Like if I got to see, oh God. Hemingway's invite Michael Keaton to your closing event.
Yes,
Let's see.
please.
Let's go, Hems.
But yeah, that's all. Taylor, where can lovely people find you, my dear?
Everybody can find me at Blue Sky at Quicksilver Girl GRRL at bluesky.com. Nowhere else. Bye. Jared,
Yeah.
you? I should just
Yes.
like exit. Bye.
It's also bluesky.social. Let me go ahead
I don't even know what it is.
at bsky.com.
At
That's funny.
bsky.com.
You guys can find me personally on Instagram and Blue Sky at Dark Jedi 2552
Not
at
bsky.com.
bluesky.social.com.net.edu.
.bsky.
But you guys can find the Nerd Academy. What?
At bsky. Oh wait, it's a butterfly.
Yeah, because the bird's taken.
I was too busy looking at the birds in my Yay Michael Keaton advert.
My God. Also,
They don't have a
Birdman.
vulture.
Birdman banger movie.
Uh,
Also, we
Michael
forgot to talk
Keaton.
about one of our favorite shots where they had Vulture recreate
In
the Batwing shot
you
from
should make
Batman
that.
89.
You should make that the.
It's Spider-Man pulling the ferry together. Is the
No, you
still
should
from the thumbnail.
just change it.
I have to have Spider-Man front and center. It's better for SEO, even though these videos get buried because there's another show with this name now.
Well, just put it behind me. Just put him behind me.
What?
Just put the moon behind me. Just put the moon with him.
Taylor, I can't just find that still. It'll be used as the background for the
Yeah, there's a whole website that's based on movie stills. I know. I'll show you.
Okay. Well, we'll have it ready for next time. You can find the Nerd Academy podcast on Facebook, Instagram, Blue Sky, wherever you get your podcasts, and on our YouTube channel, the Nerd Academy Podcast, or I'm sorry, their website, the nerdacademypodcast.com. We're here if you're feeling generous. You can donate to our Patreon. Speaking of our patrons,
And you can become my best friend.
Where you can become Taylor's best friends.
You're my real personal best friend. We talk every time we do a movie review and we talk about it, and I share my deep personal lore.
Just making sure I wasn't missing anybody. So thank you to Ray Clausen and Paco, our $10 patrons, who get a shout out at the end of every episode. $5 patrons get every episode of Road to Doomsday early, as well as exclusive access to our audio commentary tracks.
We're my best friend.
You're our best friend. You watch the movie with us. But with all
you're
of
like
that
in
said,
the living room with me. Like,
yes,
you're right there.
And you have to fight with Richard and Naya while they try to knock over the PS5 controller.
Do. Unfortunately, that's the most realistic part about that. Is
a
that
true peek
Richard
behind
is
the
trying
curtain.
to sit on your lap. The iPad.
The iPad.
You.
But with all of that said, next week we are talking about Thor Ragnarok, the
My
introduction.
favorite Thor, perhaps.
with I think most people's favorite Thor. I mean, it's gonna be. I'm excited to see
I
this
like the
one
first
after we've.
Thor, but
I like it's gonna be fun after we've had this moment where we went, oh, actually, I think I like the Thor movies more than I thought
yeah,
I did.
I like the Loki movies.
So Jesus, but the introduction of one controversial Taika Waititi.
And
Uh,
also one other Pittsburgh legend, Jeff Goldblum.
yeah, Goldblum too.
Back
So
to back Pittsburgh legends.
back to back Pittsburgh Legends on the Nerd Academy podcast, not counting myself and Taylor. So tune in next week for Thor Ragnarok as we take the next steps on the road to Doomsday.
Bye bye.
Stop! Move away from the cookie jar!